Okay, so we are now recording. Let me present my screen first. Okay, one moment here. Alright, so my screen is already presenting. So let me first check my internet connection. Class, can you hear me? Am I audible? Can you see my screen? Okay, perfect. Thank you for confirming. So I guess every one of you have joined already. Am I correct? Okay, that's good. So for those who can turn on their camera, kindly turn it on now. And for those who can't, it's okay. Okay, I already see faces now. Okay, very good. Okay, there are a lot of faces. So how are your days so far? Wow, that's good to hear. Okay, before we formally start our discussion, let us begin it with a prayer. Everyone, let's have a moment of silence for us to feel the holy presence of our Almighty Father, shall we? Okay, may I request Mr. Joseph to please lead us in prayer?
Let us bow our heads and put ourselves in the presence of the Lord. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for gathering all of us today. May you bestow your guidance and blessings so that we can enjoy and appreciate its significance in our lives. Bless everyone who are present here today, that each one of us may be able to share our knowledge, understanding, and wisdom for your glory and honor. May the various activities related to this event be a success through your intervention. We all ask of this in the mighty name of Jesus. Amen.
Okay, so good morning students and welcome to our English virtual class. I am teacher Jen, your instructor for today. Alright, so before proceeding, let me again remind you to our virtual classroom etiquette. So, first is be on time, mute yourself, turn on a video, be in a quiet room, stay in one place, no food or drinks during class, come prepared, be respectful, raise your hand to talk, be an active participant, and most of all, have fun and do your best. Okay? Again, we need to follow or observe the rules that we have as a gesture of respect to each and every one, and of course, for us to have a peaceful and meaningful class. Alright, so this time, I will going to check your attendance and I want you all to unmute yourselves, and when I call your name, say present, and for those opened camera, kindly raise your hand the moment I call your name. Are we clear? Okay, so let's proceed. Mr. Chua. Okay, very good. Mr. Ace. Okay, present. Mr. Joseph. Okay, very good. Mr. John. Okay, very good. Miss Cathy. Is Miss Cathy around? Okay, very good. Miss Diala. Okay, present. Miss Rose. Okay, present. Miss Wilmarie. Present, very good. Miss Kathleen. Okay, very good. And Miss Michelle. Okay, very good. Wow, I am amazed with your attendance today, students. It seems that all of you are present. Okay, let's move on. By the way, who among you here remember the lesson that we had yesterday? Yes, Mr. John. Okay, very good. It is all about a fact and opinion. What is again a fact, Miss Diala? Okay, very good. A fact is a statement that can be tested by experimentation, observation, research, and shown to be true or untrue. Now, what again an opinion, Miss Wilmarie? Okay, very good. An opinion is a person's belief, feelings, or a judgment about something, about that particular thing. And it is subjective, meaning it is value judgment and it cannot be proven. Very good. Now, who can give me an example of a fact? Yes, Mr. Joseph. Okay, very good. Your heart pumps the blood through your body is an example of a fact. What else? Yes, Miss Kathleen. Okay, very good. The leaves of a growing plant are usually color green. That is an example of a fact. Now, who can give me an example of opinion? Yes, Miss Diala. Okay, very good. The ice cream tastes delicious and is an example of opinion. What else? Yes, Mr. Ace. Okay, very good. Blackpink is the best K-pop group. So those are examples of an opinion. So again, fact relies on observation or research, while an opinion is based on a person's assumption. So let's proceed. I guess you are now ready to learn another lesson. Am I correct? That's great. But before that, let's have first a drill. And this activity, students, is entitled Remember Me. So as you can see in your screen, there are various literature books, right? Okay, so all you have to do is to share what you have remembered about the books that is presented on the screen. Okay, let us begin it with Cinderella. So, who among you here remember the story of a Cinderella? Yes, Miss Dyla. Okay, Cinderella is a story about a poor girl, passivity in the form of abuse that ends with a reward by a fairy godmother and wins a prince's heart. Okay, now, what have you remember on the story of the Goldilocks and the Three Bears? Yes, Miss Kim. Okay, very good. It is a story of a not so polite old woman who enters the forest home of a three bachelor bears while they are away. Now, how about the story of Hansel and Gretel? Who among you here remember the story of Hansel and Gretel? Yes, Miss Kathleen. Okay, Hansel and Gretel is a step-brother and step-sister. It is a story of a crisis of survival with no help from their parents or friends. Hansel and Gretel must free themselves from slavery and ultimately defeat the evil witch. How about the story of the Rapunzel? Who among you here remember the story of the Rapunzel? Yes, Miss Dyla. Okay, very good. Rapunzel is the story of a young girl of exquisite beauty who has been imprisoned from birth by a cruel witch. Her only connection to the outside world is her unforgettably long brown hair, which she flings out her lofty window at the beckon of a nocturnal suitor. How about the gingerbread man? Who among you here remember this story? None? Okay, so as what I have remembered, a gingerbread boy runs away from the woman who made him. Okay, now, how about the princess and the pea? Who among you here remember this story? Yes, Miss Wilmarie. Okay, very good. The story tells of a prince who wants to marry a princess but is having difficulty finding a suitable wife. Something is always wrong with those he meets, and he cannot be certain they are real princesses because they have a bad table manners or they are not his type. Now, how about the ugly duckling? Remember the ugly duckling story? Yes, Mr. John. Okay, very good. The ugly duckling tells of a mother duck whose eggs are hatching. The last of her baby birds to hatch is a larger bird than the other ducklings and the other birds. And the other animals around on the farm consider it to be ugly. They mock and vilify him, and he leaves his mother and siblings behind. Okay, how about the three little pigs, the three pigs? Who among you here remember the story of these three pigs? Yes, Miss Michelle. Okay, very good. It is about the three pigs who build three houses of different materials. And a big bad wolf blows down the first two pigs' house made of straw and sticks respectively. But it is unable to destroy the third pig's house because it is made of bricks. Okay, now, how about the Jack and the Beanstalk story? Who among you here remember the story? Yes, Miss Raouf. Okay, very good. It is a story of a poor country boy trades the family cow for a handful of magic beans, which grow into an innermost beanstalk, reaching up into the clouds, and Jack climbs the beanstalk and finds himself in the castle of an unfriendly giant. Okay, that's all for our first activity. Are you guys having fun? And so do I. Alright, let's proceed with another activity. So this time, student, I want you to give your best and try to answer this activity. Are you ready? That's good to hear. So this activity is entitled Complete Me. So as you can see in your screen, there is a story with a missing word. And all you have to do is to select the appropriate word from the box above to complete the story. Understand? Okay, so write your answer in a clean paper. Just write the answer only. Are we clear? Okay, so I will give you 5 minutes to answer this activity. So you may now start answering and prepare for an oral recitation later. Okay? Okay, your time starts now. Time's up, and let's see if your answers are correct. Okay, so a gentleman was, what's the answer? Yes, Miss Kathleen. Okay, very good. Walking. A gentleman was walking through an elephant. What's the next? Yes, Miss Dyla. Okay, very good. Camp. A gentleman was walking through an elephant camp, and he spotted that the elephants weren't being kept in cages or held by the use of chains. All that was holding them back from escaping the camp was a small piece of what? Yes, Miss Wilmarie. Rope. Very good. All that was holding them back from escaping the camp was a small piece of rope tied to one of their what? Yes, Miss Raouf. Okay, very good. Legs. Tied to one of their legs. As the man gazed upon the what? Yes, Mr. John. Okay, very good, elephant. As the man gazed upon the elephant, he was completely confused as to why the elephants didn't just use their what? Yes, very good, Miss Kathleen, strength. He was completely confused as to why the elephants didn't just use their strength to break the rope and escape the camp. They could easily have done so, but instead, they didn't try to at all. Okay, so Mr. Bagas, why do you think the elephant were just standing there and never tried to escape? Very good. Because the only reason that the elephant weren't breaking free and escaping from the camp was that over time they adopted the belief that it just wasn't possible. Okay, thank you, Mr. Bagas. Now, Miss Wilmarie, what lesson we can get from the story we have read? Okay, very good. No matter how much the world tries to hold you back, always continue with the belief that what you want to achieve is possible. Believing you can become successful is the most important step in actually achieving it. So for me, when the elephant is very young and smaller, maybe they use the same size of rope to tie them, and that age is enough to hold them. And as they grow up, they are conditioned to believe that they cannot break away. So I believe that the elephant believes that the rope can still hold them. So that's the reason why they never try to break free. Okay, that was indeed a good story. All right. Thank you everyone for your cooperation and as well to your meaningful answers. Now, what have you feel in doing this activity? Yes, Miss Diala. Okay, you feel motivated. What else? Yes, Miss Wilmarie. Okay, you feel inspired while reading the story. Now, did you find this activity interesting? Yes, Mr. John. Okay, very good. Now, why do you say so? Okay, thank you, Mr. John. Now, this activity is really interesting because through reading some stories, we can get a moral lesson that will help us, that will motivate us to always choose to look the brighter side of life or the brighter side of the story. And that, I think, will help us grow as a person. Now, from the activity that we have conducted, what have you learned? Did you learn something? Yes, Mr. Ace. Okay, you learned that believing in ourselves is the most important aspect that we human possess. Great. Okay, thank you everyone for your cooperation. Now, those activity that we have done is actually related to the lesson that you will be learning. So, who among you here have an idea about the topic that you will be learning for today? None? Okay, so the topic that I will going to discuss today is all about analyzing literature. But before proceeding to the discussion, let me first introduce to you our class objectives. So, at the end of the lesson, students will be able to analyze the meaning and message of a literature, share important lessons from a literature, and connect or relate the literature to a particular social issues or personal experiences. So now, what is literature? Okay, so literature is almost always seen as an art form. It is something that is meant to take away from the real world for a while. Literature is a term used to describe written or spoken material. The term is most commonly used to refer to words of the creative imagination, including works of poetry, drama, fiction, and non-fiction. Literature is the art of written works. It is the body of written works of a language period or culture. Literature is published in written works in a particular style or a particular subject. However, we can distinguish between literature in the sense of any writing and literature in the sense of verbal works of art. According to Robert Frost, literature is a performance in words. Another view holds that literature has in it a sense of entertaining display and provides pleasure in addition to the elements of truth involved. Literature is the mirror of life. Our life and all the subjects are related to our life is the subject matter or elements of literature. So we can get the touch of our life through literature. It is sometimes defined as anything written. Literature does not only represent to us our world, but it also shows us ways in which we can change the world or adapt to changes which have already taken place without our realization. Now, when we say literature, it can be applied to novels, short stories, plays, poems, or any other form of literary writing. So, what is literary analysis? Now, literary analysis means closely studying a text, interpreting its meaning, and exploring why the author made certain choices. So, analyzing the literature helps illustrate for students that successful art may involve self-expression, but a greater purpose beyond the creator, whether to inform, to invoke empathy, to inspire, or simply to entertain. Now, how to analyze literature? So to analyze literature, first is identify some of the literary elements used within a particular selection. including characterization, setting, plot, and a theme. Second is practice analyzing how character, setting, plot, and other theme affect one another. Third is develop evidence from a literary work to support a thesis statement. Now, there are three kinds of connection readers: make before, during, or after reading. So, first is text to self, which would sounds like this reminds me of my own life. Like if you are reading a story, a poem, a novel, etc., first is text to self. So the poem that you read is remind you of your own life. Second is text to text, which could sounds like this reminds me of another book I've read or movie I've watched. For example, if you read a book or a novel and you remember that the book that you have read is somehow related or connected or similar to the book or novels that you have read a month ago, years ago, and etc. Third is text to world, which could sounds like this thing resonate with what's happening in societies today. For example, you are reading a book of a something pandemic, and then you connect the book that you have read to what is happening in our world or in our society nowadays, that in which we are facing a pandemic. Okay, so understand? Okay, very good. Now, text to world connections are the larger connections that a reader brings to a reading situation. We all have ideas about how the world works that goes far beyond our own personal experiences. We learn about things through television, movies, magazines, and newspapers. Now, do you guess what I have saying? Okay, very good. Do you understand what I am talking? Okay, very good. That's good to hear. Now, I will going to read the story The Necklace by Guy de Maupassant. And I want you all to listen, analyze the message, the meaning, because later on, you will going to have an oral recitation. Are we clear? Okay, so let's start. Matilda was a pretty lady, born in a poor family. She was married to a clerk. She suffered a lot of misery as she felt that she had been born for better things. All days, she would be daydreaming of luxurious houses, dainty dinners, elegant dresses, and beautiful jewelries. One day, her husband came home very happy. He had an invitation to a ball for both of them from the Minister of Public Instruction. He thought his wife would be happy, but she only got angry and threw the invitation card on the table. On being asked why she reacted in such manner, she replied that she did not have the proper dress for the party. Her loving husband gave her all the money he had set aside to buy a gown. When the dress was ready, Matilda's husband saw that still she was not happy. On being asked the reason, she said that she had no jewels. Exasperated, her husband asked her to wear fresh flowers. When she refused to do so, in desperation, he told her to borrow jewelry from her dear friend, Mrs. Forestier. Matilda borrowed a diamond necklace from her. She was a great hit at the party. Everyone admired her. She danced till 4 a.m. and then went home tired, but happy. On reaching home, she decided to take final look at herself. She was terribly shocked when she found the necklace was missing. They looked everywhere for it, but it was nowhere to be found. They went to the police and also put an advertisement in the papers. In the meantime, they wrote to Madame Forestier that the clasp was broken and also that they would get the necklace repaired and return it. When the necklace was not found, they decided to replace it with a similar necklace. They bought it for 40,000 francs and had to take a loan for it. In order to repay the loan, they took a rented room and turned away the maid. All the household work was done by Matilda. Mr. Loisel took up overtime to work to save money. This life continued for almost 10 long years, by the end of which Mrs. Loisel looked old and scruffy. One day, she happened to meet Mrs. Forestier, who still looked young. Matilda told her the whole story. Shocked at the story, Mrs. Forestier told her a shocking truth, that the diamond necklace that she had lent to Matilda had been made of artificial diamonds and was worth only 500 francs. Okay, now, let's proceed with our oral recitation. So now, what moral lesson have you learned in the story that we have read? Yes, Miss Gimpisaw. Okay, very good. Everyone should be contented in life with whatever little that we have. One should live within one's means, or else we invite unnecessary problems, anxieties, and confusion in life. What else? Yes, Miss Wilmarie. Okay, very good. Beauty is only skin deep. This proverbial expression is the story's main lesson, meaning that a pleasing appearance is no guide to character, greed versus generosity. Matilde is filled with discontent, greed, and appearances, while her husband is content and generous in his station in life. Now, can you relate this story in social issues? Yes, Ms. Raouf. Okay, very good. The story The Necklace told us how greed and wealth can change a personality and affect the lifestyle of the person. Throughout the necklace, Mabusant aims to show the conflicts between those lower and upper classes and how their desires may vary. What else? Yes, Miss Kathleen. Okay, very good. In the story, we will see how society is divided into four classes, which consists of the upper class, the higher, the middle class, the lower middle class, and the lower class. People of the lower middle class and the lower class do not have many privilege in their lives compared to those of the higher class and upper middle class. Okay, very good. Okay, Mr. John, can you relate this story to your personal life? Okay, very good. The story reminds us to be contented with what we have. Okay, good job class. It seems that you are able to reflect on the message of the literature that we have read and connect it to our lives and to the society. So now, did you understand the lesson? Okay, that's good to hear. So let's test that understanding. We have here another activity, and this activity is entitled Make a Connection. Okay, so in this activity, I want you to read and analyze the literary piece presented below. This story is entitled The Little Match Girl. So read this literary piece and thereafter answer the following questions in the Google form. I will going to comment the link of the Google form in our comment section. Okay, moment please. Okay, there you go. Now, you may start answering the Google form, but before answering, read first the story of The Little Match Girl. I will give you 5 minutes to answer this activity. So, your time starts now. Okay, time's up. Let's move on. Now, this moment, I will going to cater all your questions and clarifications about the lessons that we have. So, do you have any questions? Is there any clarifications? None? So, since no one is asking a question, so I believe that you all truly understand the lesson that I have discussed. Am I right? Very good. Now, since you said that you understand the lesson, then I will going to ask a question individually. So, let's start with Miss Daila. Okay, Miss Daila, what is literature? Okay, very good. Literature is almost always seen as an art form. Now, Miss Manunog, what are included in literature? Okay, very good. Literature includes poetry, drama, fiction, and non-fiction. Very good, Miss Manunog. Now, Mr. John, give me one step in analyzing literature. Okay, very good. Identify some of the literature elements used within a particular selection, including characterization, setting, plot, and a theme. Now, Ms. Wilmarie, can you give me another example on how to analyze literature? Okay, very good. Practice analyzing how character, setting, plot, and theme affect one another. Now, Mr. Ace, what is the last part of analyzing literature? Okay, very good. Develop evidence from a literary work to support a thesis statement. Very good. Miss Raouf, what are the three kinds of connections? Okay, very good. Text to self, text to text, and text to world. So I guess you guys are now well knowledgeable about the topic that we have tackled. I will go in to give you another activity to test your understanding. So to evaluate your understanding, I want you to read the Ida B. Wells and Her Passion for Justice by Lee D. Baker. After which, answer the questions in the Kahoot, okay? So I will be going to comment as well the link of the Kahoot in the comment section, just like what we have done on the Google form a while ago. So before answering the Kahoot, make sure that you read the Ida B. Wells and Her Passion for Justice by Lee D. Baker, because all the question that is in the Kahoot is all about the Ida B. Wells and her passion for justice. Are we clear? Okay, so I will give you 5 minutes to answer this activity. Your time starts now. Okay, time's up. Let's wait for the others to be here again. Okay, you are all here. Now, before we end this discussion, let's go back first to our class objectives to see if we met the objectives that we had. So class, can you analyze the meaning and the message of a literature? Okay, very good. Can you share the important lessons from the literature that you have read? Okay, that's good to hear. And can you class connect or relate the literature to a particular social issues or personal experiences? Great, that's good to hear. Now, since it is weekend, I will going to give you an assignment. So for your assignment, I want you to record yourself while reading the poem The Road Not Taken by Robert Frost. After that, reflect on the poem and share what moral lesson or message presented in the poem, and relate it to your life and to the society or the world as a whole. Upload your video on your respective YouTube account and send only the link to my Gmail account, momjen@gmail.com. And those activities that you write in the paper, I want you to take a picture of your answers and put it in one file and send it to my Gmail account as well. And those activities that you have in Google Form and Kahoot, your scores will be posted on our group page on or before 7 p.m. So, before we formally end, I want to congratulate you all for having a perfect attendance. And with that, I will going to give you additional 5 points from each activity. So, for the last time, is there any questions? Do you have any clarifications? None? Okay, so great. Now, thank you everyone, and I hope that you learned a lot today. And I will not hold you for so long, so goodbye students, class dismissed, and see you on the next meeting. You may now leave the virtual classroom. Bye!